Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the first video of the enemy setup. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a new enemy character into the game, and then we're going to set up some animations, and then we're going to call it a session in that. Okay, so we've got the enemy setup by the end of this video. In the next video, we'll be building our enemy AI script. So feel free to set it up the normal way that we do. So we're bringing in a character from Assisto, bringing in two animations for starters. From Mixamo, we need an idle as well as a movement animation, and then we're going to create the animator, and that'll be the session. So let's get started. For this, I'm going to use this Assisto pack known as Bodyguards, and it's another free asset, obviously. And then this actually has 3 characters that I can use, so I'm just going to use these guys as goons in the game. So feel free to import it to your Unity. So I've included, as always, guys, I've included the whoops, let me just do that all over again. As always, guys, I've included the asset link down below, as well as a direct download to the asset, just in case this link gets taken down or something. So yeah, just feel free to import it to Unity. Just gonna go ahead and do that, and once done, guys, we're gonna head over to Mixamo and find 2 really good animations. That's us. All right, so I've got a new bodyguard folder here, so feel free to organize the asset folder, by the way, guys. Just drag them into models folder. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that as well. Then once done, we have a new bodyguards folder. Just go into meshes, and then you should have 3 different characters here that you can use. So there we go. You can use any of these guys, by the way. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to drag this guy in. So let's have our first enemy over here, okay? So we're going to have a little patrol going on. So there's going to be like 4 points that the enemy is going to patrol. And then basically, if the enemy detects us, the enemy is going to go into a combat state and doesn't go back to any other state. You can't run away from us. We're going to keep it very simple. So once it goes into a combat state, it starts shooting and then chasing us, right? But then obviously we can take it a step further and make it pretty advanced, where you can basically hide from them, get out of a detection zone, they can go back to idle and things like that. But use this course as sort of a basis for you to build up more advanced states moving forward. So we're going to basically work on a patrol state, and then we're going to work on a detection state, right? So, and then obviously after combating, if they die, right? So that sort of situation will take place in this game as well. So we've got the character all set up here. So I'm just gonna rotate this guy a bit, and I'm gonna call this guy enemy. All right, so we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 patrol states for this enemy, and then basically you can sort of get over here and start fighting with this guy. All right, that being said, what we're going to do next is we're going to bring in some animation. So I'm going to create a new folder over here for this guy. Actually, don't. We have an animations folder. Let's just put it there, right? The animations folder, create a new folder called enemy. And then since we're using the same character with different types of suits and things like that, it's the same mesh. So we don't need multiple folders. But if you plan on bringing in different meshes, basically different types of models, which means different types of assets altogether, feel free to have multiple folders like enemy A, enemy B, so on and so forth. So right now we only have 1 mesh, so we're not going to do that. What we're going to do next is, guys, we're going to go over to Mixamo, and then we're going to upload our character. So just like we did earlier with our player, we're going to upload our enemy character. What this does is, guys, it allows Mixamo to basically rig this character, basically matching their skeleton. So let me just go over to that folder again, models, bodyguard, meshes, and you can drag in the same guy or a different guy. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they're all sharing the same mesh, so it won't really matter. But we're going to drag and drop here, and then Mixamo is going to do its thing, and then basically it's going to give us a rigged model that we can use. All right, guys, we have the character good to go now. Just click next here in Mixamo, and we've got a rigged character in Mixamo. So in animations, guys, we just need an idle state, all right, for starters. So we'll get an idle state, and this idle state has to be kind of like something like this, kind of like a enemy kind of boss looking animation with arms wide, things like that. But the character, for example, the player, we use this guy because it looks more action like. It's more third person centric idle animation. But this one, I just want this guy to look very tough. So pretty like arms wide, something like this. See, kind of okay. It looks a bit ridiculous. So just gonna reduce the body type there. Better. I feel like just a bit less, and then we're good to go. All right, just gonna download. Yep, I'm gonna download this without the skin and FBX for Unity, as we always do. And once done, guys, we're done with the idle, and then we simply need a walk. All right, just a simple walk animation that should look tough like this as well. Maybe this one has a bit of a shoulder sway as well. Yeah, this one looks better. And then make sure to make this in person, in place, guys, because if it's not in place, it's gonna move in its x coordinates, and we don't want that, right? So we want the animation to run in one place and for us to control the movement, right? This looks good. I'm gonna download without skin, FBX for Unity, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and also get the other types of animations we'll be needing for this course. And then we won't be setting it up right away. We'll be setting it up in the next video as well. But we'll go ahead and download them at once. It's just easier, right? So we need a shoot animation for this guy. Let's see, something like this, pretty much the same thing as the one that we have. So for the player, just go ahead and download that. And yep, that's that. And then we also need depth. All right. So we need a depth animation. So anything that, yes, something like that. It's up to you, whichever one you like, guys. I might go with something more dramatic like this. Yep, that looks way better. All right, I'll just get that without skin, FBX Unity. It's good. And then I also need one for hits, right? So I need one for like hit reaction. Oops. Hit reaction, where like when they get hit by one of our bullets, you can see that it kind of, they got hit. So that's really important. Let me see if I can find a good one. So this one's a good animation, but then again, like this is a weird karate kind of stance, so I'm not gonna use that. I need one where it can blend with what we already have. So maybe this one's good. So this one has a pistol, so that's good. So hit amount, I'm gonna reduce it. So we don't want it to take a lot of time. Yeah, something like that is fine. Maybe just increase the overdrive, which is basically how fast this animation goes. We want it to be fast. There we go. We want it to be kind of fast and impactful. So the player gets the feedback that, okay, I just hit the enemy. That's good. And they snap back into combat if they're alive. If not, they go into the death state. All right, so we got idle, we got walking, we got death, we got shooting, and then we've got hit reaction. That's all we need. All right. We might need a run, so I might get a run as well, because ideally I feel like when the enemy detects us, it should get into a running motion, because obviously urgency increases when the enemy sees us, because he can't be just walking, right? That would look weird. So we kind of need to have a running animation for this guy when in place as well. So this would work well, because it detected the player running towards it and then shooting, right? That would work really well. So I'm going to download that as well. All right, so all together, guys, we should have all these animations now. Then we basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 animations. All right, so get them in Unity right away. All right, guys, we've got all the animations in Unity now. Now we can just start setting up the animator. So I put everything in the animations folders, enemy folder. So inside of the same folder, I'm going to create a new animator controller. That's in right click, create animator controller. Same way that we did it for the player. So we're going to call this enemy animator. All right. So I'm going to go to the enemy over here. And then we already should have an animator in here that comes by default from Mixamo and other asset packs. but it doesn't have a controller here. So feel free to drag this guy that we just created, animator, over to the controller here. Awesome. And then also uncheck apply root motion. If you remember from the player, guys, that's basically root motion refers to all the animations and movements that are baked into the animation. This is the reason that we turned off that feature and we basically switched over to in-place animations, because we don't want the animation to physically move the player or the enemy, right? We want it to be in one place so that we can push it using our own code. So root motion basically just turns that off. So make sure you turn that off as well. And yeah, basically that's about it. Let's go to the animator while you have enemy selected, and we should be able to now see a empty canvas here in the animator. Let's start off with the idle animation, guys. So I've got the idle here. So breathing idle is what it's called. That's fine. And make sure when you select the animation down below, right hand side in the animation tab, check loop time. Very similar to what we did with the player. Very similar. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. So drag this guy in here. So that'll be your default. Okay. So this will be your default layer. It's already done, right, by Unity. Other than that, we need a walking one. So where's our walking animation? This is the one. Drag it in. So similarly, click the walking animation below. Go to animation tab. Make sure it's looping, because those are kind of looping animations. So for example, death animation will not be looping. It only happens once. Hit is also another animation that doesn't loop. But walking, running, idling are things that continuously happen. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So running animation, make sure you do the same thing, loop. Right? Everything else is fine. Got death, shooting, then we got walking, and that's all that. Awesome. So let's create a transition between idle, right click, make transition to walking, right click, walking, make transition back to idle. So in the parameters, I'm going to create a Boolean call is idle. All right. So now let's link those up in the transitions. So pretty much the same way that we did with the others. So you guys should be very familiar with this by this point. So from idle to walking, when I click on the transition, first thing we do is we take away has exit time because we want it to immediately transition. Hit plus. Is idle is false. When idling is false from the script, it goes from idle state to walking state. Likewise, and the other one, walking back to idle is has exit turned off, plus is idle is true. That's it. So with that, guys, this should already come into action. One thing though, we got to change the avatar here so it has the original avatar, right? So just get one of those avatars from this. We'll get the idle's avatar. So it doesn't really matter as long as it's the same avatar that the animation uses, right? So just go over to rig here, the generic no avatar. Just change that to create from this model. Hit apply. All right. Now click on your enemy in your hierarchy again. This avatar over here, just replace that with the avatar inside of idle here. So click on this little arrow right next to the idle animation, and you should have a little character here, character icon. So click on enemy again, drag this little guy over to the avatar here. That's it, guys. So if you run this, I'm going to get rid of full screen. There you go. Immediately goes into this state because, why is that? Because idle is turned off by default, right? So now we just want to control this guy's movements in 4 different locations as patrol points. But that's it for this lesson, guys. I wanted to keep this short, so this is the setup video. In the next video, we'll be setting up the patrol states. And then in the next video after that, we'll be setting up the alert state, the chase, combat states, right? So see you guys in the next video.